Hi, welcome to Liner Notes. This is just a little preview video of the kinds of questions that I'm going to be asking scholars throughout this mixtape. And I thought since I'm subjecting them to these questions, I should answer them myself. So, the first question is what's in your pen case? Now, not everybody has a pen case, but we all tend to have a set of tools that we go to that are housed, somewhere. So, I have a few different pen cases, but this is my primary one. It's a Milu 2-rec that I got from Tokyo Pen Shop, and it's like a nice, really nice leather with a pretty interior, floral interior that makes me happy. And I have a ton of pens in here. I like to switch it up when it comes to my pens, but I have a couple different categories of pens that I go to, and so I'll show you what those are. So for everyday, just note taking and filling in my planner, or writing on sticky notes, I tend to go for a clicky rather than a pen cap because I tend to lose pen caps. Right now, I'm really obsessed with the Pilot Juice Point 5, and I really also like a blue black. It was only recently that I discovered that there is this wonderful category of pens that is between a black and a blue. And because I'm always torn between the two, and this color just really hits the right spot for me. So this is the point 0.5 tip blue black. And for everyday note taking, I tend to like something that's pretty fine, pretty needle-like, particularly because I use a certain type of paper that works well on, which I'll get to in the next segment. I also like to have a little fancier pen, something that feels a little special, particularly if I'm journaling or writing out longer notes. I've really liked recently the Zebra Sarasa Grand. It's a little slippery sometimes when I'm using it, and it can kind of slip around in my hand when I'm writing, but I really like the weight of it. It feels like I'm doing something profound, I guess, when I'm using it, and it feels special to use. I do like the Zebra Sarasa Vintage series as well, which has a plastic barrel. It's a little lighter, and a plastic clip. It's still got a clip on it, and it's still a clicky, but it comes in this really nice range of kind of vintagey colors, where it's like a wine color, a Bordeaux, a gray black, a blue black, a whole series of colors that I really like. I tend not to like sort of the clear, bright colors like a bright red or a bright pink or a bright yellow. I like things to be relatively muted, and so I really like the range of colors on that, which is why I go through them. And they also write really nicely. Then I like to have lots of markers. I have often gravitated towards let's see if I have one here. Since I was a little kid, my mom always had these wonderful Pentel markers, which you can buy individually at some specialty stationery stores. So I can go into Bob Slate Stationer in Harvard Square and pick these up in whatever color I like. I like them because they've got a really nice big felt tip. Here, I'll see if you can see that in front of Frank Black's face. And I like that for outlining, like if I'm taking a day or like highlighting, moving stuff around. But recently, I've been using the Zig Clean Color Dot in 0.5. So they're double tips. One is narrow. The other has this big fat circle. And so you can just dot things and cross things off. It leaves a lot of ink. And it comes in these really nice colors that I like. This is what color is this? I don't even know what color. This is in denim. I like this one. And I will use these for when I'm doing habit tracking to fill them in, and it feels substantial. It feels special. And so I like having the things that I write feel like an event. So there's a lot of other things that make the honorable mention list that are in my pen case, things that I'll reach for. Sometimes I'll switch from a blue black to like a wine red pink color scheme depending on the week if I want to kind of set a theme. The other thing that I'll note that is always in or near my pen case is my sticky notes. Always have sticky notes of many different types. I love this little one by Poppin for page flags, but always the go-to. I tend to like the little stickies for different to-dos. I'll set out different projects, but I like to have little fun characters. Little things that are pretty for notes and to-do lists that I'll stick all over the place. Or I particularly like these little Kita sticker things. These pull off. They're little stickers, and you can tack things up. So if you have like a big piece of paper, you can tack it up using these or stick photos in your planner or something like that. So I'll note that I'm constantly surrounded by many, many types of sticky notes. And yes, I might have a little bit of a problem. All right. Second question is, how do I go about planning my time? How do I organize all of the different things that I have to do? Well, I have 3 kids and I'm working from home right now, but I have a full-time job. I have a book deadline. So for any type of appointment, I put them in digitally with link to, whatever the Zoom meeting is going to be. I try to get that in the event. I try to block out on my calendar certain times so that if people are planning events at work, they can't schedule me in for an event if, I know I have to go pick up my kids. But I have a bit of a planner system. So I have 6 planners because memory keeping is also very important to me. I particularly, I like time tracking. I like tracking things in general. So when it comes to like fitness, I like to have a sense of accomplishment. So I have a whole planner that's just dedicated to whatever kind of fitness program or efforts that I'm undertaking. So last month I did yoga with Adrian, and I gave myself a sticker every day that I completed that program. And it keeps me motivated. I like to make things pretty, and it gives me that sense of accomplishment. But my main planner is, I keep it in the Superior Labor cover, which I was sort of a reward, for a celebration for myself for completing a really big task. And in there, I am on year 2 of using, and I've kind of decorated it all. I use a Hobonichi Techo Cousin. It's an A5. I really, really, really like the Tomoe River paper. It's got a grid. It's got daily. So I generally use the daily just to kind of keep a log of things, particularly I have phone calls. I'm very much in the habit of taking notes on phone calls that I have, on meetings. Any work meeting goes in the daily page. So if I have a department meeting with a student, all of that gets recorded in my daily pages. So if I have an event on my calendar and I need to go back and look at the notes, I can just go right to that date and find the notes for that meeting. And, I don't take copious notes. I'm not taking minutes on these meetings, so they tend to be things that are action items that I need to do. What I like about this planner in particular is it also has a weekly view. So this is where the sticky notes come into play. So if I have really big projects that I have for the week, I will stick them on there. I also use these as the flags for the week. Since this one doesn't have one of those strings that marks your pages, I instead use a sticky note to mark my page, or as you can see here, for the day, I use a different set of sticky notes for different to-do lists. And then it also has a monthly view. And there, yet again, I give myself stickers so that every month ends up kind of having a little bit of a different theme. And, I will oftentimes put the next month's theme. So I got these recently, at least cute bunnies. Gotta have some cute bunnies in your life. So cute bunnies is going to be the theme for March. Yeah, I already have April in here, which is going to be surprise April flowers, or at least thinking about planting flowers. So when my garden looks really ugly, I can feel motivated that flowers will be happening soon out of the blood, sweat, and tears that I'm putting into digging a new bed. So I'm very much a paper and pen person. But when it comes to scheduling, I also, have this digital world as well. And I'll note that in the front, when I talked about my little dot pen, this is where I have like the daily habits that I try and celebrate. So you can hear. So if we're talking about secrets to an organized academic life, now, yes, this is something that's very personal. I think one of the places where we struggle in academia or in scholarly work is that we have these very long, sometimes open-ended projects. The deadline might be 2 years away. You have to plan a class. It's February. I have a new class that I want to plan for the fall. I have to do the reading for that. I might have a conference paper that at some point I'm going to have to write or think about or organize a panel for. Or we have these different kinds of service projects. So I'm a co-director for a caucus for the Radio Preservation Task Force. And so there's, kind of different projects that I want to work on, but there's not necessarily something like pressing every day that I have to be working on. So the approach that I have found that works for me is in the very first page, like right inside the cover of my planner. I use my, again, adorable sticky notes, and this year we went with hamsters. Hamsters and bunnies. I put little sticky notes for all the different projects that I have to do. Sorry, this is kind of hard to see. I don't want to give away who all of the guests are because they're all here. So I have the list of all the podcast guests that I want to meet with. I have all the chapters that I want to work on. I have an article I'm working on that gets its own little sticky note here. And a couple other smaller projects. And so basically, like at the start of a day or start of a week, I open this up and I think about, okay, what is something that I can do this week that's going to get this project forward? What's sort of the next right action that I can be taking on this? And so it might just be something small as, send someone an email. But it's one thing that gets me to the next item. And so then I send that email and I'm waiting for that person to respond. Maybe a couple weeks goes by, I look at that, planning for a panel and say, oh, I haven't heard back from that person. Maybe they're not available and I should contact someone else. So it just kind of keeps it on the radar without me having to think about it constantly or keep track of like many, many moving parts. Even if it's, just a list that sits in the front of a notebook, or it's a text file on your computer that you just open up or do a little preview. I just say, okay, what are my open loops that I can do one thing to help move this project forward. What's a role that I have now? Obviously, if you're somebody like a department chair, there's going to be many things that are kind of cropping up that you have to kind of put out. So not everything is going to get on that to-do list because you're going to have to be putting out those fires or those to-dos as they're coming up. But if you find yourself always, putting out fires and having, to respond to things immediately, and then you're losing those longer term projects, this can be helpful because then it's like, even if it's like 15 minutes, or like a book that you keep next to your coffee and you like read 3 pages of in the morning, something like that so that you feel like you have that motion forward. Maybe not everybody is like me who needs stickers or who needs those kind of daily that daily sense of completion to feel good, but if I have anything to share that is useful, take that system and make of it what you will. I think one of the key themes that keeps coming up again and again in this podcast is there's so many tools out there. There's so many different ways of doing this type of work that you really can customize to, your, patterns, your sleep patterns, the particular tools that work best for you and your situation. Maybe you're all digital. Maybe you're all, try to stay as analog as possible. Whatever system you come up with, as long as it works for you, that's great. And that's all you need. But it can be fun to take a peek into what other people are doing. And I hope in this podcast, I give everybody a little bit of a sense of what that's like. And I hope this was fun.